We're a week into the Biden administration, and Republicans have made it clear they will do everything possible to sabotage the Democrats' agenda while moving quickly to quash the upcoming impeachment trial of former President Donald Trump. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. The modern Republican Party has no discernible policies or principles other than feigned persecution and cultural grievances. Seriously, what is even one policy they've advanced to help working people? Well, we gave your CEO a tax cut, so maybe he'll be more relaxed in the pre-flight video. There are very real, unprecedented existential crises swirling around us on a daily basis, creating suffering and misery for millions of Americans. And instead, the right is obsessed with trivial garbage like this.
Right around the election, I had 1 million followers on Twitter. Now I have under 900,000. Really, I mean, literally, in a couple of weeks, I don't know what's going on there.
Well, I'm sorry, I was just lighting a prayer candle for Maria Bartiromo. That was a truly harrowing story, Maria. When people talk about what we've lost this past year, I think first on that list is going to be your Twitter followers. Thank you for speaking out about this. You're like a modern-day Aaron Brockovich or Sully Sullenberger. I hope you get your own biopic. Thousands of people have been dying a day in overwhelmed hospitals. Millions are out of work, losing their health insurance and falling into poverty, and child hunger is on the rise. Republicans and people like Bartiromo have powerful platforms with millions of viewers. They could spend any amount of time they want talking about any of that. Instead, they manufacture dumb grievances to distract from real problems and make themselves feel like victims. It's their entire business model. And after Joe Biden got elected, they amped it up to an absurd degree.
Kurt Schilling wrote a social media post defending Donald Trump. And in 2021, that's not allowed. You could lose your insurance for that. You could also lose your bank account, your website, your access to email and social media, your ability to communicate with the outside world, and there's nothing you can do about it because you could also lose your lawyer. No legal representation for you. How long before they cut off your water and electricity? Before UPS won't deliver your packages? And not to wreck your day, but guess what? Amazon is now one of America's biggest grocery providers. Good thing you don't need to eat. Once politicians attempt to control what you believe, they are no longer politicians. They are, by definition, dictators. And if they succeed in controlling what you believe, you are no longer a citizen. You are not a free man. You are a slave.
If they control what you believe, you're no longer a citizen. If they tell you what to think, you're no longer free. And when they tell you, you have to wear not just shirt and shoes, but pants to California Pizza Kitchen, you're a slave. And how long before they cut off your water, your electricity? How long before they tow your car for parking on the sidewalk outside Chuck E. Cheese? Not because you were drunk, mind you, but because you were in a hurry and you were drunk. And when you hide from the police in the ball pit, don't be surprised when they find you, because those ball pits are shallower than they look. And how long? It happened to me yesterday. And then this week there was another even more ridiculous example of this feigned victimhood when the MyPillow guy, famous for inventing a worse version of a thing we've had for 500 years. Honey, I got an idea. What about like a soft thing for your head at night? You mean a pillow, honey? Yeah. I'm heading to the lab. Don't rush back. Famous for inventing a pillow and for spreading the deranged conspiracy theory that China used voting machines to hack the election, went on Fox News to complain about his products getting dropped from stores.
For the crime of having different opinions, Mike Lindell has just been banned from Twitter. Several retailers have also stopped selling his products. That happened today. That would include Bed Bath & Beyond, Kohl's, and Kroger.
That list is bigger. There's also HEB, the shopping channel, Shop HQ. I mean, they just keep, turning in their POs and saying we don't want My Pillow anymore.
Dear God, Kroger shopping channel stopped selling My Pillow with her freedom. If George Washington heard this, he would roll over in his grave, which is still more comfortable than rolling onto a My Pillow. People don't know this, but that's actually what caused the revolution. The British told Thomas Paine he couldn't sell his line of toilet seat cushions in the town square anymore because his opinions were too controversial. So Thomas Paine started the Revolutionary War. Thomas Paine's toilet seat cushions, time to drain in vain? Do it on a Paine. Paine's toilet seat cushions. It's just common sense. That was a joke for my 8th grade history teacher. Shout out to, I cannot remember. Well, I guess that's why he or she always told me I was so bad at history. Just see a blur. Or definitely by a chalkboard. Also, I should say, I'm skeptical of big tech too. So are lots of progressives. Don't get me wrong, I love having Donald Trump off Twitter, not to mention all the other toxic racists and conspiracy theorists that have been booted off. But my concern is that these companies are monopolies, which is why I think we should follow the lead of Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders and break them up. Just because you agree with Jack Dorsey on some things doesn't mean you will agree on the next thing. And if you don't believe me, may I present Exhibit Beard. But as for stores not wanting to carry your product, you lied and said the election was rigged and tried to get the president to overturn it. You can't be the public face of your company and the public face of an attempt to overthrow democracy and not expect there to be some fallout. You could have named your company Sleepwell or Gravel in a Sack and stayed in the shadows, but no, it had to be My Pillow. And you had to call yourself the My Pillow guy and be in all the commercials like some knockoff Tom Selleck. Well, listen up. Takes more than a mustache to be a spokesman, buddy. You need that Selleck charm. By the way, I got one of those reverse mortgages he told me about. And in the end, he did a true blue one. This is all they have. Whining and obstruction, imagined grievances, paranoia, conspiracy theories. Even Donald Trump, the former president, who spent 2 months deeply engaged in a concerted effort to overthrow democracy and install himself as an unelected dictator who incited a violent insurrection of seditionists who ransacked the Capitol, is, in their minds, a victim.
I don't even think there's a basis for impeachment. Now they're going to turn around and bring about impeachment, yet they say they're for unity. I mean, they beat him up before he got into office. They're beating him up after he leaves office. I mean, at some point, give the man a break.
At some point? It's been 3 weeks. Give the man a break? At some point later in the same month? But yes, please, for once in his life, give poor Donald Trump a break. This poor man, who despite having bone spurs, pulled himself up by his bootstraps. You know how much bone spurs hurt when you're pulling on boots? With straps. This man worked his way up from hardscrabble roots, using just his hands. Cashed $1 million check from his father. Toiled long days in a dark casino and long nights inhaling windsong and glitter at Studio 54. He made it in business the hard way by bravely cheating on his taxes and refusing to pay his contractors. And worst of all, he has to drive his own golf cart. I mean, look at that. Poor man. So exhausted he's about to fall over. Seriously, all Trump, his entire life, all he's had are breaks. He's famously the dumbest man alive. He has no discernible talents or skills. If Trump weren't born rich, he'd be the old guy working at the bowling alley who gets busted for huffing shoe spray. They say it kills COVID. I just got an idea. What if we put something comfortable on top of the box spring? A mattress? Yeah, but my mattress. Hello, patent office, it's me again. No, I'm not calling about pencils this time. It's a new idea. Also, last point I'll make, Nikki Haley, maybe instead of asking Democrats to give Trump a break, you should ask yourselves why you, the Republican Party, gave him so many. For 4 years, you excused his behavior, so of course he kept pushing it. You're like a rich parent asking the court for mercy for the bratty teen, saying, please, Your Honor, give him a break. It's what I always did. Every time he stole or lied or cheated on a test, I looked him in the eye and said, you're my special boy, and nothing you do will ever change how much I love you. And yet he kept stealing and lying and cheating, and I kept forgiving him. Sometimes even helped him. I believe the legal term is aiding and abetting. And now he's accused of hijacking a bus full of senior citizens and taking their pills and then forcing those seniors to rob liquor stores for them to get their pills back, something I know for a fact he did, because it's long been his dream. Well, all I can say to you, Your Honor, is give him a break. It's got to work one of these days. It's hard at this point to reach any conclusion other than that the Republican Party is fine with what Trump did, and they'd be fine with it if he did it again, or even if he did something worse. It's a party that is radicalized against democracy in favor of authoritarianism. There is nothing Trump could do to antagonize them. Not because they're cowards, although if you sit down to dinner with some friends and one of them says, you know what's delicious? Human flesh. You might think it's a joke, but when you go to their apartment and they're sauteing a human hand, you have to ask yourself, is Gary a cannibal? And then, by the way, if you stay for dinner, you're a cannibal too. Even if you have salad the next day. 45 Senate Republicans voted Tuesday to dismiss Trump's impeachment trial. At some point, we just have to accept that the reason they don't want to convict Trump for inciting an insurrection to overthrow democracy is they don't care that he incited an insurrection to overthrow democracy. And they wouldn't care if he tried it again. Instead, they're once again framing Trump as the victim and casting the Democrats' calls for accountability as a demand for vengeance.
This impeachment is nothing more than a partisan exercise designed to further divide the country. Democrats claim to want to unify the country, but impeaching a former president, a private citizen, is the antithesis of unity.
It's vindictive. This is all about the left's demand for revenge.
They hate Donald J. Trump, and they're engaging in an act that I think is petty. I think it is retribution. I think it is vindictive, and I think it's a waste of time. And so to coin a phrase, I think it's time
Man, Ted Cruz, you really have no shame. Also, first of all, shave, dude. You look like the Unabomber at a custody hearing. Second, of course you want to move on. You did this even after the mob stormed the Capitol to overturn the election. You still voted to overturn the election. You're like a guy who robs a bank, and then even after it all goes south, you still get caught and use the money to buy a Porsche. I want to feel the wind in my scraggly beard. Also, please stop with this preposterous talking point that impeachment is somehow divisive. You know what's much more divisive than impeachment? Trying to throw out the votes of 81 million Americans, then inciting a mob to violently storm the Capitol to overthrow democracy. Would you say that's more or less unifying than impeachment? Just be honest and say you're fine with what Trump did, and you'd be fine with him doing it again. It would be heinous and evil, but it would at least make this whole debate much easier. Then we wouldn't have to listen to your excuses anymore. I mean, you know what you are. We know what you are. Who are we pretending for? The kids? One of our two main political parties is fully radicalized against democracy in favor of authoritarianism. It's a movement of powerful interests backed by wealthy corporate patrons, fueled by imagined grievances and conspiracy theories. We can't ignore it. We can't look away from it. We can't just shrug our shoulders and say,
I don't know what's going on there.
This has been A Closer Look. God's Love We Deliver cooks and brings over 2 million meals a year to men, women, and children living with HIV, AIDS, cancer, and other serious illnesses, and they need your help now more than ever. If you're watching this online, you can hit the donate button. Stay safe, wash your hands, wear a mask. We love you.